Hello everyone, welcome back to another Project Gladiator weather forecast. Today I'm going to be covering the weather for October 30th of 2023. Currently, as far as severe weather, we don't have any forecasted areas for any organized severe thunderstorms or any general thunderstorms across the United States. However, we are going to be going over a system that is expected to make its way across the northern half of the United States, the northern Midwest, and the Ohio River Valley that could be leading to some significant impacts today into tomorrow. Taking a look at our WPC outlooks, starting off with our flash flooding threat. We don't really have a threat for flash flooding for today or for tomorrow. However, for our day 3 outlook, we currently have a marginal threat issued for the Pacific Northwest, for Washington into northern Oregon, as we are expected to see a ton of rain for the Pacific Northwestern states, especially along the coast there, which could be leading to some flash flooding in some of the areas up that direction. Then let's take a look at our winter weather outlook. Something that I do want to draw your attention to is the fact that it is the probability for snow greater than 4 inches. So even though it doesn't really look like there's a lot of snow that is currently forecasted, we are expected to see quite a bit of snow that is going to be less than 4 inches across the United States. However, some areas are currently forecasted to possibly get greater than 4 inches for some spotty areas in the northern United States and some areas in Canada. However, for our day 2 outlook, we don't have really any areas in the United States, but we do have an area in Canada. And then as for our day 3 outlook, we don't have any areas in the United States, but we do have some very small areas for Canada here. Taking a look at our 7-day graphical tropical weather outlook, currently I have us looking at this little disturbance for the southern Caribbean below the island chain of Cuba, the Dominican Republic, and Puerto Rico, and those islands that are in the Caribbean. But we currently have two main areas that we are expected to track as far as the tropics this week. None of them currently pose a threat to the United States. This one in particular does look a little bit scary on the map due to the close proximity to the United States. However, this is expected to stay out to sea and shouldn't pose a threat to the United States at all this week. And then we also have this one little area for the southern Caribbean. Currently, we have a low pressure system that is situated south of Puerto Rico, and as it moves into this area, it could potentially develop into a tropical system. But this is also not forecasted to pose a threat to the United States this week. Taking a look at our weather models, starting off with our 500 millibars like we usually do, let's quickly get this cold front out of the way that we've been tracking last week. This cold front is expected to overall lose its strength as the lack of instability is in place, and as it moves across the Rockies, that should really discombobulate it and lead to overall significantly less rain as what we would have west of the Rocky Mountains. So as that moves over the Rocky Mountains into the Atlantic Basin, we shouldn't really see anything too crazy with that, and this cold front should exit out into the Atlantic Ocean sometime around Tuesday or Wednesday. But that's not where we're going to be focusing on in today's forecast. We are expected to see a trough that is going to be making its way out of Canada, and attached to that trough is going to be a cold front, and that cold front is going to lead to a snow squall line that is expected to be making its way all the way from North Dakota into Ohio and Indiana in the course of 1 to 2 days. This is expected to be a very, very fast moving system, and it is expected to bring some hazardous impacts to the areas that could potentially be impacted. What a snow squall line is basically exactly what it sounds like. It is a line of snowstorms along a cold front that progresses eastward and is typically attached to a MCV. So this low pressure system that we are expected to see is expected to bring quite a bit of snow circling around the central low pressure system, and that's going to be a separate topic for this forecast. But what we're going to be focusing on is going to be that snow squall line. Now let's take a look at our composite reflectivity and our timing, and where and when we should be able to see this snow squall line and where the majority of our snow should be. So let's start off with the very beginning of the model run. As that low pressure system slowly enters the United States, let me switch to a color that's just a little bit more visible. As that low pressure system enters the United States, you can see the amount of snow that is rotating around that central low pressure system. And we already have the cold front in place, and this is going to be the cold front that is expected to be progressing with that snow squall line. So let's move it a little forward. We already have some snow squall warnings in place for northern South Dakota. So this is an active threat, and it is expected to continue developing over the next couple of hours into the overnight hours and into tomorrow as well. So as I was mentioning, tons of snow around that central low pressure system, and along that cold front, tons of snow along that cold front as well. This cold front is expected to continue progressing and impact South Dakota as a snow squall line. The areas that should see direct impacts from this snow squall line is going to be starting off across southern North Dakota sometime around 5 p.m., which is going to be 4 p.m. in Central Time, and then enter South Dakota sometime around 6 p.m. or 7 p.m., which is going to be 5 to 6 p.m. in Central Time. And as that cold front progresses, it is expected to enter some parts of southwestern Minnesota here around at 9 p.m., which is going to be around 8 p.m. in Central Time, and then impact Iowa, or impact and enter Iowa around 12 a.m., which is going to be around 11 p.m., and impact the Des Moines, the area. I'm sorry if I pronounced that badly. Around 3 a.m., which is going to be around 2 a.m. Central Time, and enter into Illinois. Impact northern Illinois in the Rockford area around 8 a.m. In the very early morning hours of tomorrow, which is going to be around 7 a.m., and then impact the Chicago downtown area around 10 a.m., which is going to be around 9 a.m. In the Central Time. So some of you guys that may be waking up early to go to work in the downtown Chicago area could potentially be seeing some direct impacts from this snow squall line, and some very hazardous things that are expected to come with this snow squall line is very hazardous conditions for driving, very low visibility, and tons of snow and icy roads, very slippery roads in a very short amount of time. You will hardly see it coming until it's too late. And you definitely do not want to be driving, especially in the very early morning hours when you're hardly awake. You do not want to be impacted by tons of snow and very slippery and icy roads very early in the morning. So that's something that you definitely want to be watching out for if you live in the downtown Chicago metro area or any of the areas that could potentially be impacted by the snow squall line, especially at night. You do not want to be doing night driving whenever you're impacted by the snow squall line, as it will make driving conditions even worse because it's the middle of the night, you're probably tired, and it's very hard to see at night, especially with even with those lights. And with that snow squall line, that makes it even more difficult for night driving, as you can barely see in front of you, and it's gonna be overall miserable conditions for driving and very dangerous conditions for driving for anywhere that could potentially be impacted by the snow squall line in the very early morning hours or overnight. This snow squall line is expected to enter Indiana sometime around noon. Um, I think for an Eastern Standard Time, no, it would still be in Central Time. So around 11 a.m. as that snow squall line enters Indiana and potentially impacting the Indianapolis region around 2 p.m. or 2 a.m. or sorry 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. In Central Time. Now I think we will be entering Eastern Standard Time in Ohio. That snow squall line should enter Ohio and impact the Cincinnati region sometime around 6 p.m. or 5 p.m. 6 p.m. for Eastern Standard Time, and potentially impact the Columbus area around 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and then kind of diffuse across West Virginia and Kentucky around 12 a.m. So the very late evening into the overnight hours. So that is your timing for the snow squall line. And again, you definitely want to be staying weather alert if you could potentially be impacted by this snow squall line overnight, and you have any plans of driving in the very early morning hours or the very late afternoon and overnight hours, if you are expected to be impacted by the snow squall line tonight or tomorrow morning. Taking a look at our total snowfall accumulation, something that I did forget to mention is that because this is going to be a convective system, we are expected to see some lightning associated with some of the snow, and that does mean thunder snow for some of the areas that are going to be affected. So taking a look at our total snowfall accumulation, you can see that path of the snow MCV, and then as that snow squall line impacts and accumulates along the Appalachian Mountains, you can see quite a bit of snow along the Appalachian Mountains, and then we are expected to see some snow back into the New England region as well for northern Maine, Vermont, New Hampshire, New York, Pennsylvania, and Ohio. Um, a lot of the snow that is going to be let down by the snow squall line isn't really picking up on our total snowfall accumulation. That's going to be because of how quickly that snow squall line is expected to be moving southeastward, southeastward over the next couple of hours into tomorrow. It's going to be a very, very fast system, so a lot of the snowfall that is going to be dropped isn't currently being picked up by our total snowfall accumulation models, but we are still expected to see snow from that snow squall line. Taking a look at our temperatures, you can see really the only areas excluding the southwestern and western United States where we are expected to see some fairly warm temperatures remaining is going to be ahead of that cold front, but that should be clearing out as that cold front continues to progress eastward into the Atlantic Ocean. Overall, the entire United States is expected to be very, very cold, especially behind that snow squall line and behind the cold front that passed through last week. We are still expected to see temperatures that could be getting very close to freezing, in fact, below freezing, and very, very close to the negatives. And last week we were seeing temperatures that were getting into the negatives in a very large portion of the United States, and that is expected to stay. It is expected to warm up by the end of the week, however, but for the first couple of days, we are expected to see very, very cold temperatures, especially at night for a very large portion of the United States. Again, you can see anywhere in blue the very light blues into the whites and the pinks here, and the purples is expected to be very, very cold. And again, hypothermia, I did mention this in the last video. Hypothermia is definitely a very, very real risk with temperatures this low, so you definitely want to be watching out for hypothermia if you live in any of the areas that could potentially be impacted by extremely cold temperatures. If you plan on being outdoors for a extended period of time, make sure you are definitely taking the necessary precautions to stay warm. But then this cold front, it is a cold front, so that is going to mean much colder air behind that snow squall line. You can see that cold front pulling much colder air back behind it out of the north, leading to temperatures in North Dakota and South Dakota that could potentially be dropping down into the single digits and double digits again for Montana and North Dakota. Now that I've told you the weather, please go down to the description and check out the socials for Project Gladiator and join the Discord for the updates on Project Gladiator. And if you notice anything might have been wrong with this forecast, or you would like to make a suggestion, please leave a comment. And some other channels that I highly suggest you check out is One Nation Weather and Weather Watcher. They also make some amazing weather related content, so if you are looking for a little bit more info on the weather, I highly suggest that you check out their channel. So hopefully I should be able to see you guys tomorrow with another forecast.